Hello, hello, Scrapper Names fans. How are we all? And I am back today with a new challenge that I did for October, the Scrap the Boys challenge. And my title for this layout is Boys Be Boys. There's the sketch. Quite an interesting sketch with that circular piece in the background, but I have made it work. So I am using some of my Kaisercraft Factory 42 collection that I got in the September Kitaholic kits. I haven't used a lot of it. It was a bit of a challenge for me to use. I don't scrap generally with those colours or whatnot. So yeah, I've managed to get it to work or get used. I am scrapping two photos here today of my boy and my man. Hanging out at a park from where we were away a few weeks ago, or not a few weeks ago, about a week ago. So yeah. Now what I've got here is like a bit of like wire that's kind of covered in cloth, I guess. And because it is only white, I decided that I'm going to use this Dylusions paint in the Calypso Teal, I think it's called, and just daubing it on there. And it turns out really super well. It didn't take too long to dry, which was fantastic. It meant that I could use it fairly quickly. I made sure it was dry. And it took to it really well. Now I decided it needed a little bit of sparkle to it, so I've added some gold Heidi Shine to it. And I'm just going to move that aside because that will took a little bit to dry. It's just a subtle glimmer, I guess, or shimmer to the blue that you can just see. So yeah. So as I said, I'm using the Factory 42 collection, and here's one of the pattern papers for that. And I'm using some of the other, yes, here they are, papers to map my photo on as per the sort of sketch. Now this was a bit of a challenge, this layout, because of the wire pieces in the background, and I wanted to add different textures. It doesn't really have a lot of mixed media, it's just got different elements to it. So that wire, I'll have some blue burlap roll there that's going to be used, and they're just different textures, so getting them to all stick down to the page took a little bit of patience, and anyone who knows me, I'm not always the most patient person. So yes. Now just because of the colouring, I just thought the edges on this needed a bit of inking, just, I don't know, maybe to stand out a little bit. I don't know, I just thought it needed something. So I went with the black inking around the edge just to give it that pop a little bit, I guess. What am I looking for? Disappeared. I'm back. Alright. Oh, I might have been putting my ink away. Try and pack up as I go so I haven't got stuff everywhere. Or I chuck it on my little table. I have a little side table that sits next to me as well that moves around. And it usually gets stockpiled if I'm on a creative roll with stuff. So just using this will be the actual sort of photo matte piece. So you don't see a lot of this blue paper. But I thought it was it's a contrast to the grey pattern paper, but it also there's blues obviously in my photos, but it's not this kind of blue. So it's like, sky blues and stuff like that, and especially with what Hunter's wearing on I think his pants are blue, or his jumper or something. So the colours sort of contrasted quite well against each other, so I felt that all of the elements on this page, the papers, everything sort of stood out on its own a little bit, but didn't clash with each other. So I was really happy with the way this ended up turning out. As I said, it was a bit tricky, and I did fuss around a little bit and edit a bit out, so you don't have to see that fussing. But yeah. The main thing that was the trickiest was getting the wire pieces to stay in a circular pattern and adhere to the page. So that was a bit of a challenge, but I got it there and it's worked and it stayed, and now it'll go in an album, get squished, and it'll stay even more. Now I don't think I ink the edge of this grey paper. I think I leave it just because it's got that break with the browny orange rusty kind of paper there. I was a bit frustrated I hadn't measured this better because the papers were too similar in size, and in the photo, it overlaps a bit more. But I managed to get it to work, I think, as best as possible. And, you know, as I've said previously, I try and get the guts of the sketch done first, and then I add to it. Take my own way with it. However, whatever that might be. So this little tag, or not little, is some leftovers from a Heidi Swap, the Magnolia Jane piece or collection. And I wasn't sure if I would use all of that, but I liked it the best. Again, it's a nice sort of grey, subtle, light grey, white colour, so it went really well with it. Didn't clash with anything. It just sort of fitted in quite well, I thought, with the rest of the tone of the page. I let the gold piece actually stick out on it just because I think it adds a bit of shine to the page. It adds to the gold that's in the wire, that's sprayed on the wire as well. So just playing around with how everything's going to sit and lay, which you'll see. And saying that I may cut the last bit of this part out. So this is just what's called like burlap. So I brought this ages ago from Lincraft just to, with particular mixed media in mind, or pages to add texture to. And I just thought this added something different to the banner piece that's down the bottom of the sketch on this side. Instead of using a tag or a bit of pattern paper, I've decided to use this just to add some texture. Okay, and just using some of these pieces. Again, it's from that Factory 42 collection. And it's just like bits of like cog kind of looking pieces. Oh, sorry. I haven't slept very well on the weekend and I don't feel great today, so I might sound a bit ugh, so I apologise. So yeah, just playing around. Now the sketch had like stars in these sections, but I changed it to this because this was part of the collection. It looked a bit more boy and, you know, masculine, and yeah, so I actually think it turned out really, really well. I am, as I said, really, really happy with what this did. Now, this is where I struggle. I don't make you see this struggle because, I mean, doing it was enough. So I have used normal glue, and for this one I roughly spread the glue around the wire piece, and then I fight with sticking it on, and I actually use my tiny attacher where I can to staple it on. And same with the second one, except the second one was more of a fight. I'm not sure why. And I actually had to use my container of gesso to make it sit. So I managed to get it as stuck down as I possibly could and decided to then just move on to sticking everything over the top and hope for the best. But no, it's still stuck there. Nothing's popped up, which was my only fear, is that sticking it there would lift eventually the papers in front of it, so the photos and stuff, but it hasn't, so I was really happy. And these have also, as I said, stuck to it really well. So now I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to start adding back in and adhering all my bits and pieces to it, adding what I need to, and, you know, and going from there. Don't put your fingers on that. Yep. Just put it with the other case, the ukulele case. Inside it? Okay. All right. Sorry, non-preschool day. So my little Miss 4 is at home with me and she's just fiddling around with the Xbox. Oh dear. Now, I do and don't like this glue. It does adhere well. It just is very wet. I don't know if I grabbed the wrong one. I think I've said this before. I'm not sure if it's I said it was craft glue, not acidy. So I'm not really sure. So don't use it often, especially on paper, the thin paper, because it just makes it all a bit warped. So yeah, but anyway, I'll use it up and move on. And this is just double-sided tape. I don't use anything else with it. I just use the double-sided tape. Excuse me. So as I said, I did contemplate using a piece of craft foam, but when looking at it, it really didn't need it. Just because the wire pieces at the back and then the paper's overlapping does make it sort of pop up a little bit. So um, it works well. Just adding, I think this is the only one of the few layouts where I lay it out beforehand, and then I actually stick to what I laid out. Pretty certain I did, or as close to it as it was going to get. All right, just adding, I used my finger a little bit to spread this glue around, so they were a bit sticky by the end of this. Yep. So, I mean, you can pretty much see what I'm doing. It's nothing too fancy here. I am just following the sketch outline. Just adding that in. And that's, it wasn't, I think the most fancy part of it was the the wire pieces, which I actually were given to me by a long lost cousin kind of thing, who was throwing stuff out, and yeah, I found this a whole heap of craft supplies. So I also work with children, so I am a daycare early childhood educator. So she gave them to me, and I found this piece, and I thought, oh, I know, I so wanted to try this out on a spread or a layout. So this was perfect for it, I thought. So yeah, and there was all the other bits and bobs in there. I haven't gone through it completely. It's 2 shoebox fulls. So I see what else I can rummage up. Now, the bottom of the sketch has a little piece, a cluster with the title. I was going to try and use the sort of cut out triangle piece of that burlap roll. In the end, it just wasn't working for me. I just didn't like how it looked. And I wanted to make that other piece a bit sort of, not a focal piece, but an interest, I guess, piece. I didn't want another bit down the bottom there to sort of go, oh, yeah, okay, well, there's 2 pieces there, yeah, whatever kind of thing. Not sure what the technical term for that is, but, whatever. All right, so, yep, just fiddling around. As there is nothing much here as such, you can see what I'm doing. Just using some double-sided tape and sticking and blocking it down. I debated what piece to use here to get in to sort of create that cluster at the bottom. And I've gone with this. There was another one that's like it. Actually, you can see it sitting there right on your right there that looks in this sort of same triangular-y kind of pattern. Oh, that's not sort of triangular. It's got 4 ends, but whatever. Anyway, but I didn't like it. Something about it didn't sit right for me. So, yeah, I changed my mind and used this one. Now, these stickers I brought at Spotlight a few weeks ago, and they were on sale in a clearance bin for like $5. So usually stickers are anywhere from like $10, as you know, and these were 5. I was cheering, so I got these ones, which were a white with a blue like line through the letters, and there was a couple others I got as well. So I was like, bargain. Now I'm using this top piece of the Circle to journaling just for something a bit different. I don't think the sketch had anywhere for journaling to go. It was sort of just your own interpretation, I guess. So that's what I've done. And just writing about, obviously, my photos. And when we went to Tathra, we also went for a day trip down to Bermagui to whale watch. So this was last week, would have been the week before. And yeah, we stopped at the park. We also had some morning tea, which turned into like almost a morning tea and lunch afternoon tea because it was huge. Yeah, and we burnt it off running around at the park. So here's my boys being boys, I guess. I have to check the date because I couldn't remember the date. I'm hopeless. I know. Like it was a week ago, really. But, whatever. I'm just going into my little box here. That's right. I thought it looked unfinished. So essentially the layout is now done. But I looked at it and I thought, no, it's missing some elements. You know, you just look at some layouts and you think it needs something. Sometimes you just go, yep, it needs just a doodly border. But to me, this needed something else, a bit, not bright. I mean, I'm using black sequins, but just something a bit more with interest. So I've decided to use, yeah, these black sequins that also came in this with this kit in September, back in September. Now, this video will go up, this will be my Wednesday video, so I'm back to my normal video schedule now. I'm back from holidays and back into normality as such. So I've got one that will go up for today, which is Monday. This one will be Wednesday, which I know then will be at the start of November, but I'm just showing you my process, I guess, more than anything. And then there'll be a new one on Friday. Probably Project Life Spread I think I've got planned for Friday. And ready to go. So yeah, so stay tuned, back to normal ideally. I have a couple of videos lined up that have been edited that just are getting voiceovered and will be scheduled and uploaded for your viewing pleasure at some point in the next week. So stay tuned. And if you haven't seen before, I've got other social media accounts. I've got an Instagram account, which is just scrappin_ames, AMES, and my blog, which I have links at the end of the video, each of my videos anyway, so feel free to check them out. Sometimes if I don't have a processed video, like today I did a couple of layouts late Saturday night I didn't film, I've just taken some photos of and put them up on Instagram, so have a pop over and check it out. Alright, so here's some close-ups. I hope you liked this layout. I really like how it came together in the end. Not colours I'd normally scrap with, but it worked. So yeah, give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you've got any questions. Leave them in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you next time with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.